Hi, today's video is for those of you looking for tips and tricks to getting hired even if you have little to no experience. Most of the principles taught in this video apply to any job interview and they will help you land that big job. By the way, if this is your first time seeing me, I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button below and ring that little bell to get updates when I post my newest videos. So, why is it some people who are qualified and sometimes even overqualified for a particular job go months unable to find employment even after dozens of interviews, while others who are less qualified regularly land the big job or get the big promotion? Often, it's because they know a few simple tricks that make them look like the more desirable option. This video will go much deeper than your daddy's advice. You know, things like dress nice, shave, arrive early, be polite, and etc. I'm not saying that it's bad advice because it's actually great advice. You should do those things, but I'm gonna go beyond the obvious, and I have no doubt that when this video's over, you'll have the knowledge and confidence to kill it in your next job interview. And if you watch to the end, I'll tell you an inspiring story about a young girl with zero experience and nothing more than a high school education who landed her dream job. My intention of this video originally was to help people with no experience land their dream job, but the principles taught here will work for anyone looking to get the upper hand in their next job interview. This 10-step process can be used by anyone looking to gain even the slightest edge, because often that small advantage is all it takes. Whether you have no experience or even if you're the most experienced person applying for the job, even if you think you're a shoo-in to get hired, the steps below will drastically increase your chances of getting the job. And really, most of the steps below take very little time or effort. Even in my last job interview, when I was extremely confident I would get the job, I went through this very process. As many of you already know, companies don't want to hire inexperienced people because they don't want to spend time, resources, or money training them. This is a huge problem for those of us who know what we want to do, but we have very little working knowledge. I was once in this position myself and landed my dream job, which has led me to a life that I honestly never imagined. Fortunately, there are specific things every employer is looking for that can make up for your lack of experience. There are certain skills, personality traits, and steps you can take to impress the interviewer, aka your future employer, and that's what I'll cover today. So let's get started. Step number 1. Learn everything you can about the company that you want to work for. Who are the people running the company? Who will be your boss? What should you know about the industry in general? Find the company's mission statement. Read it over carefully and find ways during the interview to use phrases or words from the mission statement when you're talking about yourself. Tell the interviewer why you love the company. What do they do different or better? Set aside some time to research the company and write anything you think is important down. Then read it several times, including just before your interview. Step number 2, talk to strangers. Okay, this isn't really something you should suddenly start doing just before an interview. This is something you should have been doing for a while now. If you haven't, start right now and don't stop. Continuously do things that will improve your communication skills. Not to mention, it's nice to talk to people anyway. Compliment them or simply say hi. People like to be recognized and spoken to. Well, at least most people do. Whether you're talking to strangers, clients, fellow employees, or the interviewer, your ability to communicate is a key skill that will not only help you get the job, but help you keep the job and advance your career more quickly. Developing your communication skill is a must, especially if you're not comfortable talking to people. But even for those of us who are comfortable, it's still good to practice by talking to everyone you can. Step number 3, meet with professionals in the industry who do the same thing you want to do. Visit them at their place of work. Ask them questions and for advice. Ask them what they like about the company they work for and if there's anything they wish they could change or wish their company was doing different. Then thank them for their time. If possible, watch how the top performers operate. How do they carry themselves? What questions do they ask? How do they treat others? And etc. Step number 4, interview face to face. In this age of technology, interviewers are often willing and some even prefer to do the interview over your computer or over the phone through FaceTime, especially when you live out of state. It seems to make sense, but if you really want the job, do everything in your power to meet with your potential employer face to face, even if they are out of state. You'll greatly increase your chance of getting hired if you can look the interviewer in the eyes and shake their hand in person. If you don't believe me, try this experiment. Next time you're on the phone with a loved one, try to give them a hug. Then, hug them in person. Which one is more memorable? Before I continue, can I ask a quick favor? If you find this information helpful, will you please give this video a thumbs up? I would appreciate it more than you know. And that thumbs up will help others see that this video is helpful. Thank you. Step number 5, bring a notepad to your interview. Be sure to write down anything important the interviewer says. Take notes when appropriate so they know that not only you're paying attention, but also that you think what they are saying is important. Before the interview, you could also write down some questions you want to ask or a few talking points so you don't forget to say something important. Step number 6, use body language and good stories. During the interview, it's important to sit tall and lean forward, and don't forget to smile. Also, remember that everyone likes a good story. Give real-life examples of how you earned a customer for life, changed a bad situation into a good one, or how you overcame a difficult situation. These stories will go a long way in showing what type of person you are. One of the stories should include your highest achievement. For me, I would say something like, just a few years ago, I was Richmond American Homes' #1 new home salesperson in the entire country. You should have 2 to 3 good stories ready to go. Step number 7, find something in common. Before you meet with your future employer, do some investigative work. What can you learn about them with an online search? Google them. Go to LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever you can to dig up some information. Where were they raised? Where did they graduate from? What do they like to do on their free time? Write it down. Then, when you show up to the interview, especially if you're entering their office, look around the room to see if there's something that stands out. Something that you like too. Chances are, the interviewer will want to talk about anything you see in their office. Find something in common that could bring you two closer together, and don't overthink it. It could be as simple as, oh, you have a daughter. I have a daughter too. But if possible, talk about where they went to school, what they drive, and etc. You can even ask them why they chose this profession. That's one thing you will both definitely have in common. I once applied for a job and they told me the position had just been filled. I asked if they would interview me anyways, telling them it couldn't hurt. Only minutes into that interview, I asked my interviewer what he enjoys doing on his free time. He told me that he was a football coach. I love football too, and we talked about football for about an hour. He never even interviewed me, and better yet, he hired me on the spot. People naturally want to be around others who have the same interest. Now, if by chance you get that interviewer who seems to be on a time crunch or they seem super serious, don't make small talk. You'll just annoy them. Instead, find something you have in common and make a few comments so they know you're interested in some of the same things. Step number 8, become the interviewer. At some point, the interviewer may ask you a question like, why do you want to work here? Give them your best response and then turn the question on them by asking, what do you think is the biggest benefit of me working here? By asking well thought out questions, you can discreetly turn the tide of the interview. Most employers like employees who think for themselves, and by asking good questions, they know that you're taking this opportunity seriously. Be aware that at some point, the interviewer may give you some homework. Do it well and do it fast. One of my interviewers, who happened to be the sales and marketing manager, gave me an assignment to shop my competition and report back in 5 days. Funny thing, I had already done it. But I went out that very day and shopped a few more. Instead of taking the full 5 days to report back, I emailed the boss and asked if she'd like my research now or if she'd prefer I wait until Monday. Step number 9 is for those of you who want that big job or promotion but don't have the experience. If this is the case, there's a high probability that the interviewer will bring it up. So it might be wise for you to know how to reply to the interviewer, right? I'd start with a question for the interviewer. Because I'm in the new home construction industry, I would say something like this. Would you say that selling homes is a people business? They'll say yes. Then I proceed to give them all the people experience I have. For instance, I spent nearly a decade in the restaurant industry. So I'd say I've been waiting tables for the last 8 years. I spend 8 to 10 hours a day trying to make people like me so they'll leave me a good tip. My livelihood is based on my ability to make people happy, and I have a lot of practice doing just that. One thing I know is that if people like you, they'll trust you, and if they trust you, they're more likely to buy from you. Sit tall and continue by saying something like, on top of having top-notch people skills, I'm honest, hardworking, coachable, and I'm highly motivated. I'm sure with a little training, I would quickly become one of the best new home salespeople in your company. Quick side note, if you're not honest or hardworking or whatever, don't say that you are. Choose 3 or 4 of your best traits and insert them into your canned response. Here's a short list of other good things you can say about yourself. I'm a leader. I'm a self-starter. I'm good with follow-up. I'm a good team player. I'm self-disciplined. I'm goal-oriented, and etc. In the end, if they still won't hire you, ask what skills you can develop that would make them want to hire you in the future. Let them know that you'll work hard to develop those skills and that you'll be back. And finally, step number 10, ask for the job. Yes, at the end of the interview, you are actually going to ask for the job. This scares the crap out of most people, and many of you watching will not take my advice here. But if you ask for the job, you will drastically increase your chances of getting hired. And isn't that the whole point of your meeting? To get hired? If you're too afraid to just come out and ask for the job, start with a simple question that continues from the last step. When you're done naming your best traits, ask, are those personality traits important to you? They should say yes. Continue. Then wouldn't you agree I'm a great fit for your company? Well, who knows what they'll say here? But at least now you've got them on the ropes, right? You can say this part however seems comfortable, but I would say something like this. Please hire me and let me prove my value like I've proven to every other person who has ever said yes to me. What do you say? If this seems too complicated, you can just come right out and say, so will you hire me? To some of you, this might seem crazy, but I had a boss that wouldn't hire anyone, no matter what, if they didn't ask for the job at the end of the interview. This is particularly important to remember if you're applying for a position in sales. The interviewer will want to see that you're not afraid to ask for the sale. In this case, you're the product and you're the salesperson, and you need that interviewer to buy what you're selling. Even if you're not applying for a sales position, it's important to understand that we are all in sales. This last thing should go without saying, but don't forget to thank the interviewer for their time. When the interview comes to a close, I would say something like, I know your time is valuable, so I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. At this point, there's a good chance you'll both stand up and shake hands. Make sure your handshake is firm but not overbearing, then simply look them in the eye and say thank you. Hopefully, this has helped you. I have no doubt that it has. Which one of these tips did you find most useful? Please comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you feel like I left something important out, please comment below to help those who just watched this video. If you go through this entire process and they still won't hire you, do what Kim did. Here's the story I promised at the beginning. Kim was an 18-year-old girl that applied to be a salesperson for multiple home builders in the area. Because of her age and lack of experience, no one would hire her. So she applied to be a receptionist for a home builder. Once she was hired, she let the builder know that she had a real estate license and she'd really like to move to the sales team when a position came available. As a receptionist, she worked hard and she was always eager to help out in other areas, and she proved she was dependable. A few months later, she moved into a higher position within the company, and in less than a year, she was on the sales team. That right there is the guaranteed path to getting your dream job. Kim isn't the first person to use this tactic, and she certainly won't be the last. Many have climbed to the top by starting at the very bottom with the lowliest of jobs. To climb the ladder of success, you must be self-disciplined. It's the most important character trait one can possess. When you're done watching this video, be sure to check out my video on self-discipline. I'll put a link to that below. Goal setting is also an essential tool to reaching your full potential. I've produced a video to help you accomplish your goals. I'll put a link to this video below as well. For more great videos like this, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Ty the Real Estate Guy. If you found this information helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you know someone that's currently searching for a job, particularly if they're struggling to get hired, do them a huge favor and please share this video with them. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. Please type your remarks below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to ring that little bell below too. It'll make you feel good.